Hello students, these are the topics that we are going to discuss as part of the software requirement engineering part of your unit 2 of your syllabus. Okay, that is the these are the topics that are covered as the first part of the unit 2 of your syllabus. So we'll gradually discuss one by one. First we'll discuss about functional non-functional requirement, then software requirement document, requirement specification, requirement engineering processes, requirement elicitation analysis, requirements validation, and requirements management. Now, requirement engineering is actually the process of identification of the services that a system that is going to be developed is going to provide to those customers. Okay, so when a particular software system is going to be developed, those services, the high level services which the system is going to provide to the customers, identification of those services is requirement engineering. Also, it's also actually identification of the constraints under which the system is going to operate or is going to be developed, both cases. So, uh, the constraint under which the system is going to operate, like certain constraints, suppose a ATM machine or ATM software is going to, it is expected that ATM system is going to operate 24 into 7. Okay, so that is the constraint under which the system has to be up. Similarly, there may be different type of constraints depending on the system architecture. So requirement engineering is basically identification of both the services which the customer expects from the system and the constraints under which the system is bound to operate. Okay, now what is a requirement? Requirement may be actually both the high level abstract statement of a service or a constraint of the system. Okay, or it may be a detailed mathematical functional specification. So it may be actually a detailed specification of the services and constraints, or it can be a very abstract high level statement. Both cases they can be termed as the requirements. So initially, when the system is being the contract, when the customers team, when they actually try to float a um, they try to take that is they want this, they want some developers to develop the system for them. In that case, uh, they may they may actually develop a very abstract statement of the main requirements of their system, which they may float it for the bidding. Okay, among the contracts. So for bid for the contract, it may be a very high level statement, abstract statement, which may be actually open for interpretations. Okay, but after the bid is being sanctioned, a contract is granted to a particular party, then the system developers they will come up with the particular version of implementation of those abstract statement in their way, so that it satisfies the customer team. So that detail statement of the request services and the constraints of the system is also requirement. So one which is an abstract one, which is used as the part or the basis for a bit of contract, and another which is a detailed requirement, which as the uh, basis for the contract itself. Okay, so both these cases, the abstract one as well as detailed one, both these are actually the requirements. When a company wishes to let the contracts for a large software development project to a particular to some party, they want some party to develop their software project for them. So what they initially do, they initially define the software, the requirement that they expect from the software system, in a sufficiently abstract way, so that solution is not predefined for, and it is open for interpretation. Though once uh, that is several contractors who actually wish to take a bid, they write the requirement offered in different ways to meet the client organization's need. So the several organizations who actually bid for this contract of the software project, they actually bid in a different way and then try to satisfy that the different ways they want to uh, go for that particular contract, development of software. So once the contract is being decided, is awarded to a particular party, a particular software development company, then the contractor, the new company who has signed the deal with that client organization, must write these particular requirements in a very detailed way, okay, so that it is understandable to the client organization and they can validate the requirements. Okay, so this is a detailed requirement document. So earlier was the abstract requirement document, which was only to get the bidding for development. Okay, and that is obviously in a very general language. And then detailed requirements is prepared by the company which is being, which has got that particular contract, and then as the mutual agreement, and this is written in detail. So both these documents are basically the requirement documents. So the first document, which is written in an abstract form, is called as the user requirement. Okay, and so that is written for the customers. Okay, that actually defines both the services provided to be provided by the system and the constraints in a very abstract form. The second is the detailed requirement, which is actually called as the system requirement. Okay, so it basically defines what should be implemented so that it may be part of the contract between the client and contractors. Okay, so it basically gives you the detailed description of system functions, services, and operational constraints. So system requirements is a detailed one, user requirement is an abstract one. Both contains services as well as the constraints. Now here comes the case study we have discussed earlier in a separate video which I have prepared. There we have discussed the case study for mental health care patient management system. So in that particular system, that is an information system for mental patients. So that in that particular system, the user requirement definition, one of the user requirement definition may be to generate monthly uh, management report showing the cost of drugs prescribed by each clinic during that month. Okay, so this is a monthly actually summary report of the cost of drugs prescribed by each clinic which are using that software uh, during a particular month, during a month. So that is the abstract user requirement. So that is called as the user requirement definition. Okay, one of the user requirement definition is this one. Now when you break this up by the implementer, that is the and by the software development company, and that is understood, that should also be actually, that's the detailed description of this particular user requirement. Okay, so system, that is the system requirement specification. So you can just if you read this, it is 1.1. Suppose that is because that one requirement, the first requirement, that is broken up into 5 parts. So it is 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. So 1.1 is on the last working day of each month, a summary of the drugs prescribed, their cost, and the prescribing clinic shall be generated. So it is going to generate the summary of the drugs prescribed on the last working day, okay, and their cost and the prescribing clinic will be actually generated. The summary report will be generated on the last working day. So 1.2 is the system shall automatically generate the report for printing after 17 point, that is 5:30 in the evening on the last working day of the month. So 1.3 is a report shall be created for each clinic and shall list the individual drug names, okay, and total number of prescriptions, number of doses prescribed, and the total cost of the prescribed drugs will be generated in the report. Okay, 1.4 is the, if drugs are available in different dose units, that is example 10 mg, 20 mg, etc., separate reports shall be created for each dose unit. 1.5, access to all cost reports shall be restricted to the authorized user listed on the management access control list. So these are basically the different steps which are required to implement that high level user requirement specification. So user requirement is basically was to generate the monthly management report showing the cost of drug prescribed by each clinic during that month. So a it was the, in general, the abstract requirement one of the requirement, abstract view of one of the requirement, and way to achieve this user abstract this particular requirement will be done through several steps, as has been described in the system requirement specification. So that is the difference between user requirement definition and the system requirement specification. So different type of users, the users of those two type of requirement specification that we have discussed, one abstract and the detailed one. So user requirement is basically used by these different category of users, that is the client managers, system end users, client engineers, contractor manager, system architects. Whereas system requirements is used by system end user, system, client engineer, system architect, and software developers. Okay. The overall requirements of a system can be divided into two broad categories: the functional requirements as well as and the non-functional requirements. Now, what's a functional requirement? In a very broad term, a functional requirement is actually the services provided by the system. Okay, that is you can say is a statement of services the system should provide, and also it means that the way the system should react to the inputs given to it. Okay, or how the system should behave to particular input in the situation. So the services basically, suppose the software that is um, the ATM system, ATM software. Okay, the services that the ATM system is bound to provide or should provide is, when you enter this the amount, it is the amount, it checks the amount against your account. So, and if you are supposed trying to withdraw some amount, so the amount will be, if it is there in your system, account balance is there, then it is going to deduct that amount and it is going to give you the money, right? Account, that is the cash will be delivered to you. So this is the service. So there are basically the system will check your balance, how much you have in your account. If present, it will check and it is going. So these are the inputs, is what the amount that you are putting as the input, the amount that you want to withdraw. Okay, and how the system is to behave when this input is given. They need to check the balance in their central server, the bank server, and they are, if it is present, if the amount is not if the amount you have is sufficient, then it needs to deduct that amount and needs to provide the money. So it is basically service provided the inputs that you've given and the way the system should behave. So both matters in this case. So functional requirement also says that it may state that does what many a time it may say what the system should not do. Okay, it may state actually what the system should not do. Non-functional requirement, on the other hand, is the constraints on the system, on the service or the functions offered by the system, such as the timing constraint, constraint on development process, standard, etc. Okay, so say in case of the ATM software, the constraint, as I told you, the ATM software needs to operate 24/7. That is one constraint. Similarly, the authentication of the valid users, okay, is another constraint, proper authentication. Okay, so different type of timing constraint, constraint on development process, etc., standards, etc., are the constraint on the services. So non-functional requirement normally applies to the system as a whole rather than individual features or services. So uh, as a whole on the entire system, the non-functional requirement is applies essentially. So this, if we say that 24/7 it must operate, means the it is as a whole over the system for all users irrespective, it has to operate on 24/7. Similarly, the authentication, proper authentication of the user, that is the pin code, etc., it has to do for all the users. So these are the constraints. Okay, domain requirements. The domain requirement actually is the constraint on the system from the domain of operation, that is on a particular domain on which the software needs to operate. If the domain provides certain constraints to the software system, then that is a domain requirement. Suppose if a automated car, okay, if the road is slippery, then maximum speed can be suppose 60. Okay, so that is the domain, that is the, if that road condition is the medium on which the car has to drive, the software has to control the car. So it is the constraint on the domain of operation. So that the car cannot take more than 60 km/h speed in a slippery road, or when the it is a rainy season. Okay, so those kind of constraint is actually is called as the domain requirement. So therefore, the functional requirement basically describes the functionality or the system services. Okay, obviously these requirements, since it indicates the services that is to be provided by the system, it depends on the type of the software, because depending on the software, the services that will be provided by the software will vary. Okay, and also it depends on the sorry expected users and the type of systems where the software is used. Okay, so it the that is expected users means the user's expectation, the way they want the software to behave. So depend that also actually a requirement depends on that of the end users, and the type of system where the software is to be used. Okay, so all these factors determine the type of services that mean the functional requirements. Okay, so functional user requirements basically may be high level statements of the that what the system service should do. Okay, the and those high level requirements may be broken up into detailed requirements as per the user expectation, which can be validated from the users for the development purpose, and those are called as the system requirements. Okay, so all the high level requirements that are described as the part of the user requirement, that is the services or the functional user requirements, you can say, will be broken up and will be, you know, will be prepared the detailed requirements, so that they can serve as the baby steps for development of the high level requirement. Okay, that means the different sub steps of the high level requirement. Okay, so what kind of services in detail can be written as the functional system requirements. Okay, as we have discussed earlier in a one example, it's the same way it has to be prepared, the functional requirements. Let us discuss about the functional requirement for MHC PMS, that is the mental health care patient management system, the case study that we have discussed earlier. That is one of the broad requirement or user requirement for the MHC PMS can be the user should be able to actually search the appointment list, okay, for all the clinics. So that should be one of the services that should be provided. That is, the user, whenever they want, they can search the appointment list. Another is the system should generate for each day, for each clinic, a list of patients who are expected to attend the appointments that day. So those lists, once it is being finalized or the cutoff time is finished, it should be actually system should generate each day for every day the list of for each clinic and the list of appointments which have been booked. Okay, so that should be generated. So, and for each staff member for a particular clinic should be identified by some 8-digit employee numbers. So these are the services functional requirements which are expected from the MHC PMS. Suppose these are actually the you can say abstract requirements. So you can say functional user requirements for the MHC PMS. The problem with functional requirements is that there may be, requirement imprecision. That is, the requirements is not fully described. Okay, so there may be some ambiguity in the requirements. So, like suppose for example, uh, there may be, there may be different interpretations of a particular requirement. For example, the search operation that we have discussed, the example that we have discussed in the previous slide, where the user interpretation of the search operation may be that they can search the patient name across all appointment in all clinics. So the user may be thinking that the patient's names will be given to that particular software, provided to software, and it will search for all the clinics at one go. Okay. Whereas the developer interpretation may be little bit different. Developer may be thinking that the user must select first the clinic name, and then it must give the patient name to identify whether the patient name is there in the list of appointments in the particular clinic or not. Then again they have to, clinic wise, they need to check the appointment list. So that may be the developer's interpretation. So this leads to ambiguity basically, and and this is the real cause of this ambiguity is that the requirement is not precisely described, or not stated precisely. It is expected that the requirements are complete and consistent. Okay, so completeness is basically is that all the facilities are included in the requirement document. That means the requirements that are specified for the system should include all the facilities that are expected of the system. Consistent means where there is no conflict or contradictions in the descriptions of the system facilities. Okay, so there is no scope for ambiguity. That is what the consistent means. Okay, so the requirements are expected to be complete and consistent. So in practice, actually a complete list of complete and consistent requirement is actually not possible. Non-functional requirements are basically are the constraints on the system operation, or the constraint under which the system is developed, both included. Okay, so non-functional requirement are system properties that defines the system properties. So it is, for example, includes the reliability, response time, storage requirement, etc. Okay, depending on the particular type of software that is to be developed, the non-functional requirement is decided. Okay, and it actually applies to the system as a whole. So if a system is to be very reliable, there is no scope for any lack of miscalculation, then that is the it comes under the reliability constraint. Actually every software is expected to be reliable, but there are some systems, as we discussed in our case study, that is the insulin delivery system, that has to be highly accurate. That is, there should not be any miscalculation, because any miscalculation of the insulin level will actually adversely affect the patient's health. So that is where the reliability constraint operation comes into picture. Similarly, response time, there may be certain uh, software where response time should be very accurate. Okay, or in certain cases the storage requirements may be a constraint. So depending on different type of operational constraint of the software, the non-functional requirements are fixed. Okay, so it also depends on the IO device. Sometimes the constraints are about the IO device capability, constraints about IO device capability, system representation, etc. So as non-functional requirement is uh, is fixed as a part of the software system as a whole, any if a particular non-functional requirement is not made, then the system may become useless. Okay, so there, in that sense, the non-functional requirement is more crucial than the functional requirement. The functional requirement, if some functional requirements are not provided, or some facilities are lacking, so system won't be 100% used. It is some that system will be still usable. It is not that they will be discarded. But if the non-functional requirement is not met, then the system is likely to be discarded. Okay, system will not become usable. It will become unusable. This is a hierarchical chart, a tree-like chart for the type of non-functional requirements. Okay, in broad, the non-functional requirements can be one of the three different types. That means the product requirement, organizational requirement, or the external requirement. Okay, when it comes to the project requirement, it may depends on the type, like efficiency requirement, dependability requirement, security requirement, okay, or usability requirement. So if it is efficiency requirement, it can be either performance requirement or space requirement. Okay, so of any of this type, the requirements, non-functional requirement, can belong to, if it is product requirement, suppose. Similarly, organizational requirement may have three categories to which the non-functional requirement can belong to: environment requirement, operational requirement, and development requirement. These are the three categories of the non-organizational requirement, and it as a whole it belongs to the non-functional requirement. Similarly, external requirement are regulatory requirements and ethical requirements and legislation requirements. So regulatory requirements, certain if there are some regulation rule or regulations prescribed, that comes in the regulatory requirement. Actually, external requirement basically belongs to the external elements which are set by some external elements. Similarly, some ethical documents under which the software needs to perform or needs to work. So that comes under the purview of ethical requirement. Similarly, if there are some legislative requirements which comes from the government part, that may belong to the legislative part. So accounting requirement and the safety security requirement. So this comes suppose as the legislative requirement. So these are in all the non-functional requirement can belong to any of these types. Okay, so this can be these different types of the non-functional requirement can be charted in a tree-like structure this way. The non-functional requirements may actually affect the overall architecture of the system instead of just restricting some component or the part of the system. It will actually constrain, or it will apply the constraints to the overall architecture of the system. Okay. uh, for example, to ensure that the performance requirements are met, you may have to organize the system to minimize the communication between components. So that is, suppose if your non-functional requirement is to have an efficient or to enhance the power, that is the performance has to be high. Okay, to ensure that your system performance is high, you may have to actually uh, organize the systems in such a way that minimize the component communication between the components. Okay, so depend that the type of steps that needs to be taken to ensure that the performance remains high. Okay, so here the performance is actually non-functional requirement which applies to the entire system as a whole. A single non-functional requirement such as the security requirement actually may lead to some additional non-functional requirement also. Okay, so there may be some number of non-functional requirement that may get generated because of one non-functional requirement. So when you are basically going to have a security to be implemented, so security, when by security one may be the CCTV camera may be one implementation of security. Similarly, biometric can be another implementation of security. So all different categories of different types of non-functional requirement may be uh, implemented. The that is the additional non-functional requirement may get generated because of the overall or a particular non-functional requirement that is being identified. Okay, so it may also generate some restrictions or requirements actually that restricts the existing requirement. Okay, so um, some requirements may get generated out of the non-functional requirement which may restrict some existing requirement. So as we have already discussed, that is the non-functional requirement, non-functional classification. As there are actually three broad classifications to which each of the non-functional requirement can belong to. The first category was the product requirement. So product requirement basically depends on the type of software product that is to be that has to develop. That is depending on the type of product, the overall constraint that are being applied. Okay, so it depends on the particular behavior of the particular product. So it may be, for example, the overall behavior. When it comes to the overall behavior, it may be the execution speed, it may be the reliability of the product. Whatever is whatever is deemed to be more important, it belongs to the product requirement of the product requirement. Okay. So similarly, organizational requirement means the it where the requirements comes as actually a consequence of the organizational policies or procedures. Okay, those are those constraints which are imposed by the organization for which the software has been developed. Okay, suppose the organization uses some process standards. Okay, or implementation requirements are there for the organization, some specific implementation procedure needs to be applied, or so all these kind of which constraints which are bounded by the organizations which are going to use the particular software. Similarly, external requirement means which are provided by the external elements of the software. Suppose some government regulations or some external authorities regulations which needs to be followed by the software, those becomes the external requirements. For example, interoperability requirements, legislative requirements, etc. are the external requirements. Here is the example of the non-functional requirement for the mental healthcare patient management system. So the three broad categories of the non-functional requirements, say product requirement. In this case, the product requirement is that suppose the software needs to be up during the working hours. So working hours is from morning 8:30 to evening 5:30. So during this period, the software needs to be up. In case it is the downtime is there, the downtime should not be more than 5 seconds in any one day. Okay, so that is the product requirement. That is how the product should behave. Now, organizational requirement is the way the organization wants the product to behave. So, suppose this particular organization, those medical healthcare system, they have the health authority identity card issued to the staff. So, this organization wants that the every staff should be identified by the health authority identity card. Okay, so that becomes the constraint from the organizational side. So that is the organizational requirement. So external requirement is basically the rules and regulation set by some external agencies. So here suppose the government has implemented a provision that it should be it implements the patient's privacy concern according to certain rules. Okay, so those patient's privacy provisions should be included in the software. So that comes as the external requirement for the software. So all these, if you see this product requirement, organizational requirement, external requirements, they all belongs to the constraints imposed on the system. That is, the way the system should work under certain constraints that has to be applied that are applied to the system. Okay, so uh, they each of these belongs to one of the three broad categories of the non-functional requirement.